What about mandates? The vaccine mandate, obviously, are you for or against?
I'm for, I have a different answer than you might have. Okay. First and foremost, I don't have all your medical degrees, right? And I grew up in an era where everyone got vaccinated, right? I went in the Marine Corps, and in boot camp on day 2, they walked you through, and they had guys on both sides of you with guns shooting you in the arm. Probably the same in the arm. So, but that, of course, were like the basic vaccines have been around forever. Um, I have a granddaughter who's autistic, so sometimes I don't think any vaccines cause autism. I haven't seen it, but that whole debate raised my sensitivity. So here's my view. Like if you're talking about the COVID vaccine, vulnerable people, I think it was important that they got it. My parents, but adults, kids didn't really need it, and adults should have had a lot more freedom to choose. It's that simple.
So personal choice or mandated?
Well, if we're talking about,
Let's say any vaccine. Let's not go COVID. Let's talk about medical freedom itself. So you are for the CDC recommendations, like if those kids don't get fully vaccinated, then they shouldn't go to school or being allowed to be going to
yeah,
school?
if we're talking about measles, mumps, tuberculosis, yes, the ones I got, yes, because
So you're saying those kids should not be allowed in public schools if they don't get fully vaccinated according to the CDC recommendations.
on that, yes.
Okay,
Look,
so
look,
now
I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Meaning, because if 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 we got the science wrong on COVID, that doesn't mean the science was wrong on measles and mumps and the other vaccines that have worked. And
okay.
polio. I mean,
So are you familiar with, now you're in my wheelhouse. So
okay.
we gotta talk about this
Well,
because
I will say this. I will say this. I don't have all the science degrees you have. So
it doesn't matter. It's not even the science degrees, Mike. It's just literally parents doing their own research. It's
right.
all online. So you don't need a degree to understand this. And we're going to cut it down and make it very simple because I'm going to give you some homework.
Yeah.
Because if you look prior to 1986, the number of vaccines that the CDC recommended was very small. It was like 8. And it was the ones that you're talking about: measles, mumps, rubella, stuff like that. But there was a law passed by Ronald Reagan in 1986 that said any pharmaceutical company is not going to be held liable for any injuries or deaths that those vaccines cause. So, as these big businesses, Big Pharma as we call it, what do you think would happen? You think the number of vaccines went up or down according to the CDC?
I'm sure they went up, but
You know how much?
I don't.
It's almost 100 compared to what you and I got when we were younger to 8.
Well, then you're helping me. When you say your vaccines, I think about it, my child vaccines, right? Because I knew people with polio. It's gone now, but there are kids with polio in my neighborhood, and the polio vaccine worked. It's that simple. Are we over medicated and overshot today? Yes, 100%.
So where do you draw the line though to medical freedom? Medical freedom is pretty much black and white to me. You're giving that personal choice to that person.
Right. Well,
because if you're vaccinated against measles, Mike, why do you care if I'm not? Because if you got the vaccine, you should be protected.
That's a good question, but I think we've had decades of research supporting measles and mumps and polio. And it's that simple. Now, do I agree with you that should every vaccine be look, I don't know what some vaccines are going to come along tomorrow. There might be a vaccine on stopping psoriasis, okay? And if you ask me, oh, well, should everyone take that so they don't get psoriasis? No.
So let's go back to 2020. Operation Warp Speed. They got the COVID vaccine through mRNA technology, right?
Right.
At the time, we were lied to, and they said that if you get this vaccine, you're not going to get it, you're not going to spread it, and you're not going to die.
Right.
Right. Those are the 3 things that were said, and then they mandated it.
Right.
So at that time, according to you, because this was supposed to wipe out humanity, 10% of us were supposed to die from COVID, right? That's over 30 million Americans. We came up a little short in that estimate. right?
About 1 million, right?
Yeah. So according to you, if they were in fact saving people, and I was like, dude, I'm not taking this. There's no long-term safety and efficacy studies. You would be like, no, you need to take this, right? Were you for
No,
that?
no, I'm not. I didn't say that, Garrett. What I
Yeah, I
said
was just asking, I'm giving you a hypothetical though.
no, no, don't misstate what I said.
Okay.
I said adults, which is like you and
Yep.
I would have given the right to choose. Okay. Every disease is different. I think we can agree, right? So
Right.
my daughter who is a emergency room nurse in Mississippi never took it, right? I didn't find that out until after. And so I do distinguish though between COVID and measles and polio and some of the other diseases where generations of children, including yourself and everyone else out there was protected from.
How do you know I'm vaccinated?
Because at your age, you would have gotten measles or mumps or whatever.
Not
To go
necessarily.
to public school. Are you saying you're not? Are you saying you never had a measles or mump?
You can go and you can opt out for religious and philosophical reasons.
Okay,
Yeah.
but did you?
I got some of them when I was little.
That's
but
what I'm
not all
saying.
of them.
That's just what I'm saying.
But that's the point is I believe in medical freedom. That's where we'll disagree on. And that's fine. Like, hey, this is where people need to have these conversations and understand that you and I are not going to agree on 100% of the issues.